Hi everyone, welcome to Press X. My name's Rob.
And my name's Rob as well.
And today we're talking about consoles. Well, the future of consoles. How are they going to evolve over the next few years, generations?
Well, I think to talk about that, you got to go backwards, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean, what they started off as, you go back to, I don't know if it was first generation. Let's just assume it's the first generation. And we had cartridges. We had cassette tapes.
We didn't have cartridges first generation, I think you'll find.
That might be second generation then.
That's technically second generation. Everyone calls it the first generation of console gaming, but it was actually the second. I know what the first generation was because I had the first generation. It was our very
Spectrum and stuff like that.
No, we're talking like the old grandstand machines with the dial controllers and stuff like that, where all you could play was bat and ball and all sorts of very, very basic games like that.
Okay, the thing is, it started off as inbuilt games and cassettes, and then it became cartridges.
No, cartridges, then cassettes, it was. Atari came next.
Yeah, I'm not taking it in any sort of great order, but cartridges kind of got as far as they could really with the Nintendo 64, and then it was around that time that PlayStation 1 and the Sega Saturn were really, moving games forward as far as what they could put on a game, like sort of sound quality and voice recording and all these sorts of things. Because a lot of Nintendo 64 games, their characters just made sort of beeps and boops and noises and whatever.
Well, I don't know. See, you say that cartridges got as far as they could, but I don't think they did.
I don't think that's a discussion for a day, really. But
it's not that. I'm just making the point that the games that you have on, say, the PS Vita or the Nintendo 3DS or even the new Switch, they're all on a cartridge, technically. That little memory card is the evolution of the cartridge.
Yeah, I guess it is. But that's I was going to get to that. Now, like SD cards, aren't they? And SD cards are a form of cartridges, just very, very small.
Yeah.
There was discs, and that was basically first DVD-ROMs was the early sort of iteration of the disc. Yeah. And then there was the competition between Xbox and Sony, where Blu-ray was Sony's horse of choice, and HD DVD was Xbox's or Microsoft's. Blu-ray won, and then games got to a hyper extended length and what they could include in them and the detail and the sound quality and whatever it can include. The massive games that had all sorts of things involved in them. And now we're at a point where we have digital downloads becoming more and more normal.
Do you know the funny thing? Both Sony and Microsoft, both companies, kind of accidentally on purpose fell into video game consoles, didn't they?
I mean, even Nintendo.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Nintendo, okay, to a degree. But Sony...
Nintendo aren't a video game company. They were a trading card company, weren't they?
No, they made playing cards, not trading cards.
Tomato. Cards. They did cards.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Sony was basically developing the new Nintendo console, a disc-based Nintendo console with Nintendo. And then Nintendo decided not to do it. Sony went ahead and made the PlayStation based on the designs of that.
Mm.
Microsoft, by the same token, did exactly the same thing with the Sega Dreamcast.
So Microsoft are responsible for basically killing Sega, aren't they?
Well, not really. Microsoft.
I know, I'm being dramatic, but
Microsoft didn't kill Sega in terms of consoles, but they're both.
I think
both
Sega
companies
killed Sega on account of them not being able to keep a lid on how many peripherals they have.
Well, it wasn't just that. I mean, it was the actual games and the fact that the games on the Dreamcast could be pirated so very, very easily.
Yeah, that is a bit of a killer.
But even
there's like a vast and varied histories of video games and whatnot.
But I mean,
which is interesting.
The bizarre thing is that we didn't really see much innovation in the way of video games consoles after the Dreamcast for a good portion until we got to the Nintendo Wii, which there are people out there who call themselves gamers who say Nintendo Wii isn't a gaming console. And like, well, get a grip, man.
It's elitism and there's no room for it.
Yeah, just get over yourself. Yes, it's a gaming console. You played games on it. Didn't matter how old you were. The fact that your granddad could play games with you is what's upsetting you the most. So deal with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, Nintendo Wii was an innovation. Okay, it wasn't an original innovation. There had been ideas around that for a while, but how quickly did Sony jump on the bandwagon with the PlayStation Move?
It was never as good, though.
It was never as good, no. And Microsoft also jumped on the bandwagon with the Kinect, which actually was pretty good as a piece of kit.
But it was too expensive on top of the actual price of the console. Of the ones that exist now, I think the true innovator is Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean...
Because we haven't brought up sort of the handheld consoles, because that's what they are, handheld gaming devices, consoles, whatever you want to call them.
Nintendo's...
Game Boy and the... Oh, I'm forgetting so many of them.
The Game Boy was the main one for a while, and then they went to the DS, okay?
No, I mean, like, outside of the PS Vita, PSP, and Game Boy, there was other ones, and they're just blanking on me.
No, there were others. There was the PC Engine, there was the Sega Game Gear, there were a few others like that. But what was it?
There was that one
there
as
was
well,
the Wonder Swan as well, if I remember rightly.
There's one that Nokia did that I can't recall.
Oh,
N-Gage.
the N-Gage. The N-Gage wasn't really a gaming machine, though, although it was a good attempt. It was a decent attempt. Yes, okay, the games weren't great, but at least
But the thing is, it's ahead of
made.
its time, and I think Nintendo are the only ones who look into the long term as far as designing their consoles. I still think they're very insular as far as the way they express themselves and the things that they do. But as far as the console machines and the technology, they are innovative, because Nintendo Switch basically crossing a divide there. It's a handheld and a console.
Well, I mean, they had the Wii U as the interim thing, which tried to do the handheld thing as well. But the Switch is basically crossing that divide, and I thought that Sony or Microsoft might look at going down that route.
Especially when you look at how gaming is going in Japan. Consoles aren't really the done thing in Japan. Handheld gaming is what is more popular.
Yeah,
with consoles, you get like the Final Fantasies, the Yakuzas, the Dragon Quest. That sort of stuff still shifts units, but general gaming in Japan is handheld.
Yeah, and that is where I think part of the lack of vision, so to speak, lies. See, one of the problems that I think the console manufacturers have right now is that they're going for this hyper-realism, they're going for the 4K technology, they're going for the Ultra HD graphics, and they've forgotten a basic element of video games, that video games don't have to be ultra pretty for someone to enjoy them.
They're just providing a platform for those things to exist. It's the game developers, they're the ones who are pursuing this stuff.
Yeah.
But again, it's which come first, the chicken or the egg in that sort of situation.
Exactly. I've always said, and I've said this for a long time, I've always been waiting for the day when video games consoles cross that final divide and basically become personal computers.
Well, I think the next iteration's there.
But
I think what's really interesting now, though, is we are at the time for some sort of big shift in the way gaming as an industry works.
Yeah.
I mean, we've mentioned on previous videos how people are kind of sick of like company like EA, or to give them their collective term, the AAA publishers. And the consoles, personally speaking, I'm fatigued by getting a new console and it basically being the same as previous console, only shinier.
Yeah.
So I believe we're at this crossroads right now where change is needed.
Yeah. The change that they thought they needed was VR.
It's not like a wholesale change. It's sort of a supporting feature.
Believe it or not, though, I think that before they can properly implement VR, I think that what they need to look at, and I think that this is an aspect of gaming that's so sorely overlooked, and they actually applied it to a degree with games like Invisimals on the Vita, right? But augmented reality. I think that augmented reality is something that they could really apply in video games to give you something extra.
In that sort of the gaming space where handheld is crossing over with consoles, yes, I'd agree. But generally, I still think it's sort of a supporting act at the moment.
Yeah, it is. I mean, augmented AR gaming How many games are actually actively using augmented reality? Virtually none.
Yeah, but I think as far as going forward, it's a multitude of directions that the gaming industry could take. I think streaming might take off, not in the way that the console developers are doing, where I think it's more something to be learned from the movie and TV and streaming market.
Like a Netflix of games type thing?
Yeah, because they keep on proposing that this is what they're going to do, but whenever they describe what this proposed service is going to be, it's never a Netflix of games, where you have like a group of gaming developers all sort of signing into this service where their games are automatically available.
Yeah.
And you just pay a flat subscription fee and you play. I mean, there's stuff like PlayStation Now and the Xbox One, but they're very, very, when they don't have like the best selection of games. A true Netflix of games would be cutting edge and it'd have new things and things made exclusively for it.
Do you know the beauty of a service like that, right?
First off, I'd be right in there if it existed.
Yeah, I know. Most of us would be. But the beauty of a service like that, and I actually agree. I think that a service like that is long overdue. The beauty of a service like that is that you don't need high-end hardware to run it.
Well, that's an entirely different matter, isn't it? That's coming into cloud gaming.
Well, cloud gaming and streaming services, really, they can coexist. They can live in the same space.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could have... Yeah. I mean, you don't host the file on Netflix, do you? You just stream it from a central reserve. So by sheer definition, it is a cloud gaming service.
Do you see what I mean? And so you don't need high-end equipment to stream Netflix. You shouldn't need high-end equipment to stream a game.
No. But then that comes to the issue, doesn't it? Where the Sonys, the Microsofts, the Nintendos, they make a lot of money by shifting console units.
Yeah.
Where's the motivation for John Doe on the street? For John Doe on the street to buy a new console if the one that he's currently got can run this streaming service? It's what the industry needs, but it's also the industry's its own worst enemy. It just
but
like
again,
it's like EA, it's like Ubisoft, it's like all these companies.
Again,
all the money is never enough.
Yeah, but again, the Netflix model comes into play yet again, and I wish more people would pay attention to the Netflix model. How did Netflix start?
It was basically discs. You sent off for a disc, and it's like Love Film. You wanted to watch a movie, you asked for a movie, they sent you the disc, you returned the disc.
Exactly, right? It was basically Blockbuster Video, but done over the internet, yeah?
Yeah.
And that's how Netflix started, and now look where Netflix are, one of the biggest media companies in the world.
I mean, it's only second to things like Disney, really.
Yeah. You can make a buttload of money by using the Netflix model. And once Sony and Microsoft... See, what I think Sony and Microsoft and the rest and Nintendo are actually doing with consoles, I think they're trying to one-up each other. They're trying to prove once and for all they are the best. I think it's less about the gamers now and more about prestige.
Yeah, the funny thing is, quietly in the background, once upon a time, they used to have sort of puns like, the PC Master Race and stuff like that. But quietly in the background, PC gaming is becoming more and more mainstream because that's the platform where it doesn't have like one overseer who controls everything.
Yeah, everybody's involved. They're all in it together.
And I think PC gaming has taken console gaming, like, it winged it. And I think if they don't pay attention, I think you could see a lot of people saying, I'm done with consoles, I've had enough. I'm just going to PC game or not game at all. Unless something changes with the console market, really.
Yeah.
And this is a topic that we return to when we have like announcements for like the next generations of consoles.
Yeah,
that's
we will.
in the summer. But until then, that's it for now. If you have something to add to this conversation, please do comment below. Subscribe to keep up with these videos. Until next time, I am Rob.
And I've been Rob.
Thanks for watching.